Hey everybody, this is John from Great Lakes Prepper. How you doing? Today I want to talk to you about something that might stir up a little bit of controversy. But Steve and I on this channel have covered many times using large survival knives to do something that's commonly referred to as batoning. Many people do it and many people use it. I'm here to say that I really don't see the use or the need for batoning. Okay. Many people use a large survival knife or even small knives. I've used a Mora knife to baton through logs. In a survival situation, how many times do you walk through the forest and you find 12-inch chainsawed logs in pieces that you grab and you baton into this magical fire or wood pile? I grew up in northern Minnesota. Even sometimes camping during the summertime, a fire was necessary. I've done winter camping, I've done even spring camping where the temperatures got below, well below zero. You needed a fire to keep yourself warm. But outside of a training environment, I've never used batoning. Whenever I've built a fire, I've taken fir sticks, I've taken fuzz sticks, I'm sorry. I've taken small sticks and built it up with kindling until you reach larger sticks, and then I've just used whole logs. Many times I've found deadfall logs. I'm talking about 6 to 8 inches in diameter, usually about 12 to 14 feet long. These are somewhat common in northern Minnesota, at least, and now in South Texas, where I'm living. I've found these pretty readily. I don't cut them up, place them straight on the fire, and once the fire gets going, it burns a portion of the logs, and then you just advance more of the log into the fire. I've come to use batoning as more of a measurement of my knife's ability, but it's not necessarily something that I would use in an actual true survival camping scenario. The reason for this is I think it uses too much energy. I don't think it's efficient, really. Once you get a fire going, is it really necessary? I mean, could you be using your time to either A, gather more firewood, or B, construct your shelter more? I really think your time could be used more effectively. Depending on your individual scenario you're in, just say you're crashed, a plane crash in a barren area that's heavily wooded. Your time would be more valuable to building a rescue signal, or even gathering more firewood, or bettering your living situation. I think many people, I want to say batoning was more made popular by a YouTube channel called Nut and Fancy, which he has a lot of really good YouTube videos. But I think a lot of people just kind of ran with the idea that you can split firewood with a knife, and that's what makes it great. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. If you want to measure your knife like that, that's great. But if you're put into a situation where you need to actually use your skills that you've acquired through training and things like that, is batoning really something that you should put a lot of credence into? I don't think so. I a lot of you might disagree with me, and I'm sure in a case-by-case basis, it has been used and probably used to great effect. I'm just saying, is that my number one go-to thing, is batoning wood? I don't think so. I really, as far as it goes, I think batoning is kind of up there with something such as like a bow drill. It's used and it works, but is that your go-to thing? No. Can it be used? Yeah, probably. But there's a lot more effective things out there. Think about some things like this. When you're in a survival situation, things like time, especially like I was saying in my case, northern Minnesota, you have very few hours of daylight, especially in the wintertime, because you're up in a farther northern latitude. In the wintertime, you get very few hours of daylight. So would you like to use your time to maybe scout out the area, build a shelter, have a decent place to sleep by the time night comes around? Or would you like to spend it making small pieces of wood? I think it's pretty self-evident. I mean, you could say that I'm using a straw man, which is entirely accurate, but you need to use your time effectively. Also, it uses a lot of calories. Unless you're bringing in calories, which you could say, instead of batoning wood, I could be gathering food. That might be a more effective scenario. But there's always cases by case. I mean, I could be wrong. However, I'm just saying, I have never come across a situation where it can be used effectively. I've never come across just a piece of wood small enough to be split with a knife. Most of the pieces of wood are either A, big enough for me to break with my foot or with my hand, or they're so long that I can burn them, but then I have to advance the wood into the fire myself. Just think about those things. I mean, how often do you see these videos on YouTube of people that, oh, this knife is so great because I can baton wood like very easily. However, they're using pieces of wood that they sawed up themselves. So I think it's not very effective outside of actual testing a knife to see how it works. But my main point, if it works for you, that's great. But just know that there are other options out there. And like I said, it's not that batoning doesn't work. I just think that there's a lot of more effective and efficient ways of doing things, and that you shouldn't spend all of your time to say, just call it training time. You shouldn't spend all that time relying on a single thing, which is batoning wood. But that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. This has been John from Great Lakes Prepper. I'll catch you next time.